So we will create a slave to distribute the load on a Jenkins environment. So we can create slave and we can assign job to the slave so that the job will be executed on the slave and the uh, result will be displayed in the Jenkins master dashboard. So there will be a master Jenkins installation. So all the slaves will report to that master. So the master will display the dashboard for the users. So to create the slave, we will go to manage Jenkins section, and in manage nodes, you can create new node. You can create node 1. So how many number of builds that can happen parallelly on this slave? So that is 1 by default. So what is the file system root on this slave? Means, so from which location Jenkins should operate on this slave, like Jenkins home that we configure here. So we should specify what is the directory that Jenkins will operate on that slave machine. So I don't have any missions in the network, so I am using, just for the demonstration purpose, I am using my local machine as the slave. So in a remote machine also you can specify the path like this, so where you want it to execute, and what is the label. So for multiple nodes you can give the same label, so that when you wanted to execute the job, whatever be the available node in that label, it will execute. Suppose if I configure node 1, node 2, node 3 in label 1, so when I assign the job to the label 1, so it will execute in any one of the nodes that are available in node 1, node 2, node 3, because they all three are grouped as a single label. So this label is nothing but a logical grouping of nodes. So we'll just give label 1. So means utilize this node as much as possible. So this kind of nodes can be used. So in case of system load, so it can use this node. Jenkins will automatically identify the available nodes and it can distribute the load to the slaves. So you can use the nodes for the specific jobs only. So you will manually assign some jobs to the nodes. So those nodes will be used for the execution of that jobs only. So if that job is not running, that node will be in an idle state. So if you don't want to keep that node in idle state, you can utilize the node as much as possible. So based on the slave can be Linux machine, or the slave can be a Windows machine. So based on the slave, you can decide what kind of mode you wanted to launch the slave. So if it is Windows, you can launch it using SSH. So if it is Windows, you can launch using WebStart. Node is nothing but another machine. So if we are executing all jobs in a single machine, so that machine will take a lot of time to give us the feedback. So because all projects are in queue, it will be executing one by one from the queue. So we will add some other missions to do the job. So that is nothing but we will call it as a node in Jenkins. Node is nothing but another mission, so which will execute the job in favor of Jenkins. Is that clear? So you can give the IP address of the machine. So you can go through this, you can understand. So you can give the IP address of the machine in your network. So because I am using my local machine as slave, I will give my local machine IP address, and we should give the TCP port. So the slave and master are connected on TCP port. So master will be running on the, will be listening on this some TCP port. So all slaves will be connected with that TCP port. So how do I know the TCP port number? I will explain. Let me save the configuration. So in manage Jenkins, you have the log. So from the system log, you will be able to know what is the TCP port. It is running on TCP. Yeah. So it is started on TCP port 56781. So this port number will be changing each time you restart Jenkins. So if you don't want to do that, so in manage Jenkins, in security we can fix the TCP port number. So by default it is random. So we can fix the TCP port number to some 6789 and save. Now the TCP port listener is started on port 6789. So in the node configuration I will update the TCP port. So because this is a different machine, so this will have different tool locations. So in master machine the ant will be in a D colon some ant. So in this slave machine the ant installation could be at D colon program files somewhere ant. So if it is a Linux machine it will be in a some slash opt ant. So it can be, the directories can vary between different machines. So because these tool locations will be used to invoke your build scripts or uh, publish some files. So all those properties, whatever be the tools that are related to this machine, those locations we will update. So these are all the tools that we have configured in the system configuration. So those configurations might be different for this slave. So we need to give those configuration parameters related to this slave here, so that the job will pick up the configuration parameters from that location. So similarly, whatever be the environment variables that are used on this machine, so those can be created over here and save the configuration. So once you save the configuration, you will see. So if it is a Windows, you can start it as. So you can launch it as a. So it will give you a file. So if you click on that file, so it will connect. The slave is connected to the master. So now this slave can be used as. So now this node 1 is also available. This machine is up and running. Now we can execute some jobs on this slave. So how can, now I have a slave machine so which will execute jobs for me. So how can I assign some jobs to this? So in the project, you can go to project configuration. So restrict where this project can be run. So you can restrict where this project can be run using label 1. So you can give the label. So there is one node available in the label 1. I will save the configuration. And now I am invoking the build. Now this build will be executed on the slave 1. So now this build is executed on the node 1. So even though you have 100 slaves, all those slaves will report to the master. So from the master dashboard, you can monitor what is happening where, what builds are running in which slaves. So what is the status of the builds, or in case of build logs and everything you can monitor from the Jenkins dashboard. So I have given d:\training slave 1 as my slave mission root. So it will do again the checkout in this, and it will start build. Because it is a new build that is happening on that mission, so it will be doing a fresh checkout and doing the build. So if you run again, then it will not do again checkout, it will just take the update. So like this you can. So if you wanted to see what are the builds that are executed on this node, you can select the node and you can select the label. So in this label, so on node 1 this demo project gets executed. So you can go to node 1 and you can see the build history. So on node 1 you can see that these are the builds that are executed on the node 1. So like this you can distribute the load using the master slave setup. So I will just show you Apache. So this is Apache Software Foundation Jenkins setup. So they have so many projects that are running. If you see all projects, so there will be so many projects that will be running. So all these projects they cannot execute on a single machine. So they will add missions and they will distribute the load. So on mission H10 they will be executing some builds on different missions. There are different builds are getting executed. So the slaves can be used to distribute the load. I think they have installed some plugin called Leaderboard. So it will be showing something. So by clicking plus you can add your views. Means you can filter if you have 100 projects. So if you are not interested in all 100 projects, if you are interested only in 5 projects, you need not set each time for in all 100 projects for those five projects. You can create a filter and or view, and you can assign those 5 projects to that view, and you can monitor that view. So is that clear? So you can, so without this JNLP file, you can start. So I will be closing this slave. So you have to go to that slave mission and you can launch like this, or you can run the you can go to that slave mission and you can run this command to launch. You need not launch from here. So from the command line also you can launch. So you can save this jar, slave jar, and you can put that in the class path. So this is from running from the command line. I have downloaded this slave.jar to the training folder. So you can run from the command line like this, and the slave will be started. Master. So is that clear? Are you able to follow how to create slave and how to assign job to the slave? So to distribute the load across different machines, we will create a slave node. So we will, from manage nodes, we can create a slave node. So you can just create new node, and so in the new node configuration, we will give the details of the slave machine. So what is the machine, and what is the directory that Jenkins should use on that machine, and what is the label, and you can configure the tool locations that are on that machine. So because we are executing Jenkins in this machine, so this will take the tool locations from this machine. So if we are configuring the slave, so all these tool locations should be configured for the slave also, because the locations will be different on the different machine. So once we configure this slave, so we can assign a project to this slave to execute. So in the project configuration, so we will restrict this project to be run on that slave. So we can check this, and we can give the label on which this project should run, and we will be saving the configuration, and whenever you execute this project will be executed in one of the node available in this label. Label is nothing but logical grouping of multiple slaves into a single unit. So it can have one or more slave nodes in each label. So if there are more nodes available in the label, so it will execute one of the node that is available at that time. So is that clear? Okay. So manage credentials. So this is nothing but the username passwords that you should use to connect to the slaves. Suppose if you are using the Linux machine, you need to pass with usernames and passwords. So in that case, we will create a credential with some usernames and password, and we will save that. And in configuring, while configuring node, so you can use these credentials. So all the credentials will be listed here. So you can use a credential. So in case of in future, if the username passwords are changes, suppose if you are using a secret same credentials for connecting all 5 machines. So if some password or something changes, so you need not go to all nodes and change that password. So you can just change the credential, so it will be automatically reflected for all the nodes. So that is the main use of creating these credentials. So install as Windows service. So each time we are coming to the command line and starting the Jenkins. So if we don't want to do that, so you can install it as a Windows service. So whenever you system restart, it will automatically, the service will be started automatically. So you can see that in the Windows services list. So these are all Windows services. So the Jenkins will also run as a service. So this automatic service are started by default whenever you restart the system. So if you click on this, it will be installed as a Windows service. So prepare for shutdown. So if you wanted to do some maintenance kind of thing, the system's maintenance or some other maintenance, we can stop the triggering of the builds. Suppose if I have 5 slaves that I wanted to do some restart or some maintenance, so in that case the jobs that are tied to that slaves might fail. Suppose if there is a job that is scheduled at some time, so if that slave is not available at that time, the job will fail, so which is not a real failure. So to avoid those kind of failures, we can put the Jenkins in a shutdown mode, so that if any build that is happened during that period, it will be kept in a queue, so it will not be executed. So I have run the build. So it is in a pending because Jenkins is about to shut down. So once the maintenance is over, we can go to manage Jenkins and we can cancel the shutdown. So that once we cancel the shutdown, so the whatever be the builds that are in the pending queue will get started automatically. Because the demo project is the downstream project for the base project, so it has started the demo project build automatically. So because this build is started by the base project build number 2. So these are all simple utilities that are available. And Jenkins CLI, so we will not be going in detail about these remaining other tools. The important things we have covered. So configuring system security and plugins and manage nodes and manage users. So the system logs you can see from here. In case of any exceptions or failures, you can see the system logs from here. System information. So what is the environment details of the system you can see over here. So what are the plugins that are installed in Jenkins, what are the environment variables, what is Java home, so all those details you can see here. What are the JVM options. So Jenkins command line interface, so this is used to execute. So we are operating from the Jenkins dashboard. So we can do these operations from the command line also. So you can start the command line using this, running this command. You can download this Jenkins jar file and you can put this in the class path and you can run this. You can start the command line and you can execute the actions. Suppose if you wanted to invoke the job on a build on a particular project or job, so you can just run this build. So name of the job you can pass, so like this. So So to automate, if you are doing some automations in the background, so you can use this kind of command line interface. So it has the list of commands that are, so these are the all list of commands. So you can log in using the command line, you can log out, you can do the build. So whatever be the operations that are you are doing from the dashboard, you can do those operations from the command line also. So script console. So this is, we will not use these things mostly, but this is very advanced users will use this. So if you wanted to diagnose a, so if like we have seen Apache system, so there are so many projects. So if I wanted to see the report on what are the builds that were failed from yesterday, so I can write some Groovy script here to read the all, to go through all projects and identify the builds that were failed from yesterday. So I can write some script and I can execute here from here, and I will see the result. So this is just console uh, to identify or to monitor the system. Suppose if I have 100 projects here, I cannot see the status or some kind of reporting I cannot do. So I can write some script and I can see those reports. So if I wanted to see, suppose the builds that took more than 1 hour. So if I wanted to see, so what are the slaves, if I have 100 slaves, so what are the slaves that went offline, and so which slave is used more. So those kind of reports we can run using the Groovy script. So this is just a script console. So you can write some script and just see the result. So but you can have, suppose if you wanted to publish these reports daily, so you can write the script and save it in a file, and you can execute from the command line, Jenkins command line interface. So there is a command called Groovy. So you can save that script and you can execute from the Groovy command, so that you will have better control on the report data, and you can mail that report, or you can have another dashboard to view that report. So is that clear? So if you wanted to see how, so this you need to have the knowledge on Groovy scripting to write this script. If you wanted to see some example script, you can see those scripts. So disable all jobs. So this is the script for disabling all the jobs. So that's it about Jenkins. We have covered all basic things that are required. So we will be given how to configure Maven project using Jenkins after the Maven session is completed, and how to deploy from Jenkins automatically. So next session will start with Srinivas on Maven and Tomcat. After that he will explain you how to configure Maven project and how to deploy in Tomcat automatically from Jenkins.